please welcome, very warm welcome to your first presenter, Jeff Hake.
Cheers, everyone. As Esteban said, my name is Jeff Hake. I am the Farmer Training Program Manager for the Land Connection here in Champaign. And if you're like me, you've asked yourself, hey, Jeff, or whatever your name is, how do I make a burrito? Now, I know it's not easy. It's not easy to make a burrito. I've been there. I've tried. But I'm here to tell you the process from start to finish to delicious first bite. Let's start with the ingredients. Let's say this is a chicken burrito. So inside your burrito, you're going to need lettuce, salsa, and since I'm a DIY kind of guy, you can make your own salsa from tomatoes, hot peppers, and onions. You'll also need rice, beans, cheese, sour cream, and of course, chicken. Also, I'm kind of a frugal, so I'll leave out the avocado. On the outside, you need a tortilla. These are easy to make yourself as well. All you need is some lard and some flour, kneaded together and rolled out flat. But you know, when I say I'm a DIY kind of guy, I mean it. I want to make this burrito from its very beginning to its filling, farty end. Really, what I want you to know is, how do you grow your own burrito? First, preheat your yard to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Meanwhile, prepare a 10-foot by 10-foot square garden plot by lightly tilling the soil. This will allow the garden to soak up a lot of liquid and nutrients and really bring out some flavor in the whole burrito. You might choose to add a manure or straw garnish at this time, but don't overdo it. When the garden plot is preheated, start by planting one lettuce plant in the corner. This lettuce here is from my garden last year, and it took up about 1 square foot of space. I grew a type called Claremont, but you may choose an iceberg, romaine, or even something more exotic like a reine de glace. Allow to grow for 1 to 2 months until green and full, harvest and set aside. Next, grow some onions. What you see in this picture are the onions I grew last year, still in their infancy. As you can see, they're not very big plants, so even the square foot I'm giving them is far too big for your salsa needs, but hey, you'll have some left over to store in the basement, and you'll use them later when you go to cook the chicken. Now, warm up the garden to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and you're ready to plant tomatoes. You only need 1 tomato plant for your salsa needs, and even then, you'll have a lot left over. Each variety shown here has its own attributes. The orange is low in acid, the yellow are good for sauce, the red is great for slicing, but me, I want salsa that is at maximum sweetness. So I'm gonna use the cherry tomatoes. Peppers. Now, admittedly, that's not a hot pepper, and those are actually tomato butts I'm using for eyes, but I thought it was funny, and you get the idea. Even 1 pepper plant will be more than sufficient for your salsa, and you can fit 2 to 3 plants in this space. No problem, you'll have extra salsa. So you've grown your salsa and greens. What's next? Beans. Yes, it's beans, the magical fruit, the iconic ingredient of burritos. I grew a few types last year, but I think my favorite was that white and brown beauty there, called Hidatsa Shield. I know it's a bit of an unusual choice for a burrito, but it's meaty and rich, and heck with you, it's my recipe. Give yourself 15 square feet for the beans, grow for 6 months, allow to dry, harvest, and set aside. Like a good bechamel sauce, people don't believe they can grow rice at home, but it is possible in Illinois. You don't need a swamp to grow it, just a different type called upland rice. It will grow in dry conditions and really isn't that different from wheat. Now, if you've done it yourself, a lot could go wrong, so give yourself a solid 25 square feet for the rice. And speaking of that, there's no reason you can't grow wheat either. And you'll need it for the flour that will go into your tortilla preparation. Later on, don't forget you'll need a mill to make that wheat into flour. So at this point, you've got all the plants you'll need for your burrito, with ingredients to spare, but you still have space in your garden. Now, I never believe in following a recipe too closely, so you know what? Heck with it. Go ahead and plant an avocado after all. Remember, avocados don't like the cold, so you'll need to build a 25 square foot mini greenhouse for that avocado tree, and to run power to the house for the heater. Heat the greenhouse to 80 degrees Fahrenheit and plant. I know I said this would be a thrifty recipe, but maybe avocados are worth it. Now, it looks like we're maxed out in space, but there's room for 1 more ingredient. Let's get a chicken in there. Just like when you roast the chicken later, you can put her right on top of the veggies. She can cluck around and feed all day, lay eggs for breakfast sandwiches. See my future presentations for other recipes. And when you're ready to make your burrito, the meat will be right out there in the garden. You can name her, but only names like Proteina, Melissa, and Barbarito will be accepted. When preparing a meal, it's always good to step back and make sure you're on the right track. You've got all the plants you need for your burrito, as well as chicken and even avocado. But now you're at a tricky point. You still need the cheese, sour cream, and lard. Luckily, you can acquire all these ingredients at the grocery store of animals. This lady. Though described by John Oliver as an idiot, she can use her 4 stomachs and 4 teeth to do something that we absolutely cannot. Turn grass into milk. I'd like to see you try. She is the real hero of your burrito. Can we stop and give her a hand? A few slides from now, you're going to be mad at me that I made you clap about that. Some of you may have seen this recipe for a homestead before, with this tiny portion of an acre set aside for your dairy fairy heroine. This is not a great recipe. This is like skipping on the salt in the soup. It is not going to work. She and her baby are going to need a lot more space to be happy and productive. Prepare 1 acre of grass for mama. Have her inseminated, and when the calf is born, you can begin acquiring milk for the cheese and sour cream. Bad news, though. Rennet is a vital ingredient of cheddar cheese production and is derived from the stomach lining of calves as part of veal production. So you're going to have to kill that baby. Or you can make a rennet substitute from the weeds in your garden. This plant is called Creeping Charlie, and it can be processed into rennet. See? We didn't have to kill the baby. Isn't that great? More bad news. To acquire the lard, you're still going to have to kill its mom. At some point anyway. I'm sorry. Yay, mom. So, you have all your ingredients. Your year-long prep time is nearly at its end. I'm almost out of time as well, but I've gotten you through the hard part. Now all you have to do is chop the lettuce, run the tomatoes, peppers, and onions through a food processor, process and cook the rice, shell and cook the beans, roast the chicken, turn the rennet and milk into cheese, turn the rest of the milk into sour cream, chop up the avocado, render the lard, mill the wheat into flour, roll out your tortillas, cook them, place all ingredients into the tortilla, roll it up and grab a fork because if you're like me, you will make a mess. Do you have leftovers? Why not invite a tiny friend to dinner? Thank you.
Great job. That was awesome.